All right, guys, Wes here. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we've got some news to talk about for Hogwarts Legacy. As according to this news, it's looking like the future of Hogwarts Legacy is grim. So as you guys know, the game is absolutely amazing and the numbers don't lie. It blasted to the top of Twitch and became the most viewed single player game of all time, while also claiming its residency at the top of just about every video game sales chart. Now, of course, with this kind of success, you would think Warner Bros. Games has big plans for the future, and while you're correct about that, it may not be in the way you were hoping. So in this video, we're going to go over everything we know about Hogwarts Legacy's future, including DLC plans, a potential sequel, and how I think it's going to play out. So in case you missed it somehow, Hogwarts Legacy is rapidly becoming one of the best-selling games of the decade. Aside from receiving critical acclaim and amazing fan reception, the long-awaited open-world RPG broke a 22-year record for being the biggest launch of a Harry Potter video game, and it's also rapidly outselling Elden Ring, which was previously the RPG to beat. The game even managed to peak at almost 900,000 players on Steam, which is insane for a single-player game. At the time of this video's recording, there aren't any official sales numbers, but industry experts believe that over 10 million copies have been sold across PC, PS5, and the Xbox Series consoles, which makes it one of the best-selling games in a while. Warner Bros. Games has a massive hit on their hands, and given how hard the company has been trying to revive the Harry Potter IP, especially in the mainstream, this is a great sign of things to come. With this game breaking sales records left and right and not showing any signs of slowing down, you would think Avalanche Software and WB would be looking to capitalize it with some kind of DLC or expansion, especially considering how popular many parts of the Harry Potter lore are missing. Unfortunately, we got official confirmation from Avalanche themselves that this isn't the case. Prior to the release of Hogwarts Legacy, it was believed that Avalanche wasn't working on any DLC, but they may have changed their minds, especially as time went on and the game was a success. However, during a recent interview at IGN FanFest, Avalanche Software's director for Hogwarts Legacy confirmed that they have no plans for Hogwarts Legacy DLC, which many fans were completely let down by. Now, I think it's worth pointing out that the studio is currently super busy despite the game now officially being out in the wild. A lot of fans seem to think that the studio is taking it easy now that the PC and current generation console versions of the game have launched, but that's actually not the case. The Xbox One, PS4, and Nintendo Switch versions of Hogwarts Legacy are still in development and are currently not set to launch for at the minimum a few months, assuming they actually come out. Do you ever feel like you're unprotected using public Wi-Fi networks? Well, I have just the solution for you, which is brought to you by today's video partner, NordVPN. You can get an exclusive NordVPN deal here using my link, nordvpn.com/WesNemo. Oh, and to top it off, it's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, Wi-Fi networks, especially free public Wi-Fi, can be compromised by criminals trying to intercept your data. For example, you want to surf the web at your local cafe, so you connect to the cafe-free Wi-Fi network without thinking. But just like Admiral Akbar said, it's a trap. It's a fake network set up as a part of an evil twin man-in-the-middle attack. While you're browsing, criminals will harvest any sensitive data you enter. Now the question is, how would you stop something like this? Well, the solution is easy. You can encrypt your online traffic with NordVPN at all times to keep their naughty fingers out. Protect your online traffic with my exclusive NordVPN deal at nordvpn.com/WesNemo. Like I said, it's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. And to celebrate Nord's 11th birthday, if you buy NordVPN, you could win extra subscription time for every purchase of a 2-year plan. So click the link in the description or go to nordvpn.com/WesNemo to get started. And a big thank you to NordVPN for collaborating with me on today's video. Now, prior to the game's release, many people, myself included, were worried about how the past generation versions of the game would run. And now that we've seen some technical issues on the current gen versions, I think those concerns are even more valid. Plus, Hogwarts Legacy is a freaking massive game to the point that it's a miracle it runs so well on current gen hardware. The team at its current time is still dedicated to getting the past generation versions of the game up and running, especially for the massive amount of consumers on those platforms. But that's going to be kind of a tall order, especially considering that these versions have already been delayed to later in the year, which is likely attributed to performance issues. But now that they got the modern versions of the game out the door, the studio can likely take all of its attention to finish up the previous generation versions. But until that happens, they are likely not going to be thinking about future DLC at all. Now, again, the exact wording of the interview was that they're not planning anything right now. So that kind of still leaves the door open for future DLC, but assuming that they're being honest here and not really trying to cover their tracks and keep us guessing, I would say that any major Hogwarts Legacy DLC is still at least a half a year out at the very earliest. If there are currently no plans for DLC and they're all hands on deck finishing the remaining versions of the game, that likely means that they won't start really working on anything until fall of 2023, and really at that point point, they might as well hold on to whatever ideas that they had for a DLC and incorporate that into a future game. That being said, there's still a ton of iconic Harry Potter content that could be added to Hogwarts Legacy as DLC. If you know the Harry Potter universe, you probably noticed some glaring omissions in Hogwarts Legacy, such as Quidditch, Wizard's Chess, the Triwizard Tournament, the House Cup, and a laundry list of spells that aren't in the game right now. On top of that, the community has been talking about multiplayer, which funny enough, there's actually been an experimental PC mod to attempt to add that, so it's pretty natural for people to be talking about DLC for this game when there are so many things that could be added to the experience. But that kind of raises the question, is Avalanche Software going to work on all of this stuff later in the year? Honestly, I'm kind of a bit conflicted on this. While I do think it would be relatively easy to add things like additional spells to the game, I think the larger things like Quidditch are just simply too big to be added to the game right now. Hogwarts Legacy is a freaking gigantic game, like I said, and there's already enough content to last people months, if not years, without getting bored. At some point, the amount of content in a game can get overwhelming, and I wouldn't be surprised if Avalanche was thinking about that during the base game's development. There's only so much stuff that can be added to the game with DLC, no matter how big the expansion is, and with the most popular things that people are asking for from Hogwarts Legacy DLC, I think it falls under the category of simply being too ambitious for a DLC. This is stuff that would take a long time to make, and if Avalanche isn't already working on it, they probably aren't going to have the time to get it done in a meaningful way and release before it's too late. I do think Hogwarts Legacy is a game that can have a couple of years of relevancy, but I'm sure most of you probably know that any major DLC expansions for a AAA game typically come within the first year of its life cycle. And if Avalanche isn't working on stuff already, they're probably not going to put it out. But with that being said, I don't think we should give up hope entirely. I mentioned this in a previous video, but I'm 99% sure that Warner Bros. Is going to greenlight a sequel, and that's assuming that they haven't done it already. Hogwarts Legacy is one of the biggest licensed game of all time, and there's no way WB isn't going to want more of that pie. Not to mention, WB reportedly just started production on a new Harry Potter movie based on the Cursed Child stage show, and they're even trying to get the original series cast to come back and play the main characters. Warner Bros. Is going all in on reviving the Harry Potter IP, and since Hogwarts Legacy was such a massive success, they're almost certainly going to want another game in the next few years, possibly set in a different time period so that they can tell a whole new set of stories. So if there's going to be a new Hogwarts Legacy game, I think that's where you could expect to see all of these missing elements from the first game, because then they would have excellent selling points to differentiate the two games, and it would give Avalanche Software more time to make sure that they're treated with care. Think about it, WB could either take things like Quidditch and the Triwizard Tournament and release them as DLC for an existing game that most people have already bought, or they could use them as selling points for a sequel game that would likely come out after the Harry Potter revival hype train has been chugging along for a few more years, which is way more likely to be the case. That way, people who bought Hogwarts Legacy will buy the sequel, and they'll be able to get additional sales from people who didn't buy the first game, and it'll give Avalanche Software the time and space they need to make sure these new aspects are done right, the same way they did it for the first game. So if you're holding out hope for things like multiplayer, Patronus charms, House Cups, and Quidditch to be added to Hogwarts Legacy, you're probably out of luck, but that's not to say that you're not going to experience those things in this game world. I'm 99% sure that WB has already greenlit a second Harry Potter RPG, and I'm 100% certain that Avalanche Software has been paying attention to what the community wants from them in the future. Plus, the next Harry Potter RPG that this team works on won't be forced to get up and running on consoles like the PS4 and Xbox One, so it will free up more technical horsepower to get things like Quidditch and dragon fights running properly. The base game is already huge, and the stuff the community is asking for is more than big enough to justify those features coming in a sequel, so I'm betting that's the current plan. It may not be the news you want to hear, but after seeing just how amazing Hogwarts Legacy was, I'm more than willing to wait for Avalanche to craft something amazing. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Do you think that this game is going to get any DLC, or will these features have to be released with modding or in a future sequel? Huge thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring today's video, and also guys, don't forget to enter the 100,000 subscriber PS5 giveaway, as we're getting very close to the giveaway and my milestone of 100k. Be sure to drop a like, guys, make sure you're subscribed to the channel with your notifications turned on, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.